Thursday because we have got some college football tonight. Believe it or not, it is a full slate. But, Barry, I don't see a lot of top 25 teams. A sprinkling of about 3 or 4 tonight, but I'm going to watch anyway.
Sprinkling. This is how we roll at our house. My wife Dee, God bless her. She's a life changer. She loves her some football. Every bit as much as we do. So whenever I'm not working, we watch. We spend time together, right? So we're trying to figure out what we're going to watch last night, and we're both like, well, we don't want to watch like a series, like a Netflix series. We're big on PBS or something like that, because we're going to like get into one episode of it, and then we're going to watch football for the next 5 days, and we'll forget all about what happened in that one episode. So yeah, 5 days worth of football starts today. Season is upon us. I'm ready. I
am too, Barry, and I'm looking. Here it is Thursday. We got an early kick, 5 o'clock. A little bit early for my taste on Big Ten Network, but I mentioned there are some top 25 ranked teams. Missouri at rank number 11, hosting Murray State tonight on SEC Network. Kansas. How did Kansas get so good so quick?
Hey, listen, they're all that. They are absolutely all that. Watch out for Kansas this year. They're playing in Kansas City against Lindenwood.
Yeah, I've heard of Bushwood. I've never heard of Lindenwood.
Get the rim shot ready, because this is about as close to a dirty joke as I'm ever going to tell on the program. Lindenwood is what used to happen when Lady Bird wore a negligee. I'm just that's sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry forever.
I got to get a school bell. I'm
anyway, for you old today. Political people, you'll get never mind. Anyway, yeah, but they're playing tonight at Arrowhead, I believe.
That's interesting.
Yeah, they there's also, of course, neutral site game, Arkansas against Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yeah, Little Rock.
I think Little Rock's closer to Pine Bluff than it is to Fayetteville, but I don't think you're going to have it just overrun by Pine Bluff fans. It only seats 50,000. Arkansas is losing money every time they play there, right?
Yeah, I don't know if it's just a deal that there's a lot of big money in Little Rock that likes Arkansas football, and they just put a game there. There again, Alabama did it in Birmingham. They finally figured out we need every game on campus. That's where the fans want to be. I don't know why Arkansas still goes to Little Rock to play a game, but obviously some influential people still want a game there. And I don't know. Come on, folks. It's 2024.
Yeah.
Let's go play games in Little Rock.
Yeah. Sometimes I ask John about that. What's with this bumper music? Come on, guys, it's 2024. Let's play some Taylor Swift. There is an in-state game, Coastal Carolina against Jacksonville State.
Yep.
That's on the CBS Sports Network. All of that's fine. If you're a Missouri fan or if you're just an SEC fan, fine. Check out Missouri against Murray State. If you're an SEC fan and you want to check out Arkansas and Arkansas Pine Bluff, knock yourself out. Best game of the day today is on Fox. North Carolina at Minnesota. It's not to be all end all. Say, McKnight, sure, this is for the national championship. No, I'm just saying it's the best game today.
Yeah, and I'm with you. And that kind of leads me to believe there's not a lot of great games today, but I would say that one, a Big Ten and an ACC team going at it in tonight on a Thursday. Well, Barry, all of our guests here are brought to you by our City of Montgomery guest line. You need to know what's going on in and around the capital city. It's easy. Just go to montgomeryal.gov for all the latest information and all the Labor Day activities happening here in the capital city and the river region. And I say that because we bring in our first guest of the day. He's Jason Caldwell of Auburn Undercover. Of course, the Tigers getting ready for their opener at Jordan-Hare Stadium, year 2 under Hugh Freeze. Jason, good morning. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, guys. How are y'all?
Doing really well. full of questions, as we always are. Don't want to give away too much. Check out the content at auburnundercover.com. You issue your weekly opponent preview, your first opponent preview of the 2024 season about Alabama A&M. Just a thumbnail sketch. What kind of opposition do you suspect they'll provide?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be a whole lot. The interesting thing is that they don't have many seniors, and they have a bunch of transfers. I mean, a bunch of transfers. I mean, starting at quarterback, Quad Brown is a guy that I remember watching in high school at Calera. He played at Georgia State. He's been at UT Martin. Now he's at Alabama A&M, and he was a guy that probably would have been their starter last year, had an injury. I mean, it's a solid quarterback. That guy threw for over 2,000 yards and 17 touchdowns at Georgia State in 2020. So he's an older guy. Running backs, they got 2 running backs back that rushed for a combined like 1,300 yards last year. So I think they'll be able to challenge maybe a little bit offensively, but the size, depth, those kind of things should come into play pretty quickly.
You know, Jason, I don't think Hugh Freeze is going to say this, but I'm just kind of curious maybe what their mindset is, particularly offensively. Do you think they want to maybe lean on the running game a little more, the passing game, to get these young wide receivers some game experience? I mean, there again, we all get it. It's Alabama A&M. I think they probably want to get as many people in the game as possible, but is there one area offensively you think they're going to try to maybe work on more than another?
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how much they really throw out there.
Yeah.
You know, I think we'll see them. You want to go execute it and you want to work on it, but you also don't want to show all your cards either in a game like this. So I would guess is that they'll come out early, throw a few things out there, try to do that. And then, you know, I don't expect to see the full arsenal of an offense. I wouldn't expect to see Cam Coleman catch 8 passes and you know, I just don't know that they'll want to show everything you have against Alabama A&M at week 1. That's just, you know how it is. You guys know coaches, and you know how coaches are. Early season, they're not going to be a whole lot of that. I don't know that we'll see Jarquez Hunter run it 20 times either, but I think you could see 10 carries from Jarquez, 10 or 12 from Damari Alston, 10 or 12 from Jeremiah Cobb, mix in the RPO game, take some shots, and but yeah, I don't think it's going to be full blown offense in week 1.
Well, what about defensively? What do you suspect a DJ Durkin defense ultimately is going to look like? And again, same concept. What they're going to show on Saturday night.
Ultimately, I think it's going to be really aggressive. We saw them in you know, even like their first kind of scrimmage thing we saw where they're bringing guys from all over the place and doing. I think they'll probably do some of that because that's just who they are. What I do think we'll see defensively is a bunch of guys and a bunch of guys early. I think we'll see on the defensive front with those 4 positions where you're talking about defensive end, tackle, nose tackle, and the kind of the jack linebacker. My guess is in the first half, we will see 10 to 12 guys in just on the defensive front alone. I think we'll see that many guys. They want to rotate. They want to play. And as Vontrell King Williams says, it's a rep chart, not a depth chart. I think they want to see who's playing well, who's producing. Yeah. And then that guy will get more reps as you move along, maybe not in this game, but as the season goes. So I think it's the first opportunity to start to create a little separation at some spots, you know, like the defensive line. I think, you know, there's a bunch of guys they feel like can play. Who's going to step up and become a guy that you feel like can play in the biggest spots?
You know, Jason, I could be dead wrong here, but in my mind, I'm thinking this game Saturday night and possibly the Cal and the New Mexico game as well, but maybe not as to the same degree. But I get the sense this game is to kind of weed some people out, see them in the game experience to maybe kind of, you know, get that depth chart a little more solidified before that Arkansas and Oklahoma game rolls up in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, you know, college teams don't have preseason games. You don't have a jamboree. This is an opportunity to see, you know, because you think, okay, these freshmen are going to be able to help. You'll get a little bit better idea of that even against Alabama A&M on Saturday night. Which one of these transfer guys is ready to go, which ones you're like, oh man, that guy's not quite what we thought he was. I mean, there's still things that you'll learn in a game that you don't learn in practice and in a scrimmage situation. So I do think there's some answers that are still left to be determined out there. The good news is there's more options. It's not like you're searching for an answer, and if you don't find it, then that's it. There's no other course of action. I don't think that's the case for this team. I think it's going, what's the best answer? What's the best situation we have instead of, whew, this don't work, we're in trouble. I don't feel like that's the case with this team like we've seen the past few years.
You know how the fans are as well as anybody, probably more than we do in some degrees. A lot of the fans on Saturday night are not necessarily going to be totally interested on who's on the field currently, but they're going to be interested in some of the players that are in the stands, Jason. Any idea there about recruits?
Yeah, we'll get a better idea, I think, today, tomorrow, of the groups. I think most of the committed guys will be there. First opportunity. It's such a different schedule for Auburn, because you have 5 straight home games, and guys have already planned to be at Oklahoma and Arkansas and Cal. But you go there'll be some guys that come to all 5 of them. But it's more difficult. Some guys say, look, I might go somewhere else and watch a game. There's a couple of guys that are going to go to Florida, Miami this weekend. But the name, obviously, that everybody's focused on is Deuce Knight, quarterback from Mississippi, committed to Notre Dame, expected to be in Saturday for the game. Will we see him do something potentially this weekend? I think it's a possibility. We continue to feel very good about Auburn's chances to flip Deuce Knight, one of the top quarterbacks in the country, big time playmaker, guy that can do a lot of different things. So that's really the one right now that everybody's kind of focusing on to see if anything happens this weekend.
I guess, and I'm sure you probably got this question a lot, but, there again, it's been a long summer, preseason camp. And I don't know if you can whittle it down to one player, because we've been talking about so many of the new faces, particularly the young guys, the receivers. But is there one particular player, Jason, you're really looking forward to seeing in game action on Saturday night?
Yeah, quite honestly, there's a bunch of them, to be quite honest. It's hard. It's hard to narrow down one because, and for the first time in quite a while, you have a big group of young guys that have the chance to go out and be a difference maker type guy from the get-go. And obviously, I mean, Cam Coleman's one of those guys. We've seen him a bunch in high school. We saw him in the spring. I don't think we'll see a bunch of him. Malcolm Simmons is probably a guy that they're going to get some touches for, to see how quickly. Hey, how much can you pick up? How much can you execute to keep adding to his plate? Because he's a dynamic guy. I think that one. And then I think Amaris Williams. Amaris, I got to see in San Antonio, defensive end. This guy's 6'4", 260 probably. And probably if you lined him up and ran a 40, he'd probably be in the 4.6 range. I mean, he's a freak athlete. Mm-hmm. Played running back in high school. Now he's a defensive end. He'll be playing behind Keldrick Falk. Those kind of guys, to see them, just the burst, the athleticism that those kind of guys can deliver. I think that's probably 2 of the guys I want to watch.
Mm-hmm. I want to ask this just because, I want to get it on record, because we don't talk about it a lot, and it's one of my favorite aspects of football. I can't imagine there's many schools, if any, in the country that have as much experience in special teams as Auburn is going to have if Alex McPherson is healthy and ready to go. Thoughts there, Jason?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see Alex McPherson maybe for a couple of weeks. I think he has continued to get better. He's gaining weight, getting stronger, but it's only been a couple of weeks that he's actually started back kicking. And it's been, guys, if you play golf, you realize, you can still feel good, but if you hadn't played golf in 6 months, it's hard to get the feel back. I think the same thing for a kicker. He hasn't kicked since December. And so since bowl practices, that's when kind of things started for him. So you go from December to August without kicking. I think timing, all those things now are coming back. But I would guess, hey, get stronger, stabilize that. I would say a couple of weeks, and then we'll see what they're able to do. Can you get Towns Magoo 3 or 4 games, bring back Alex McPherson, and still redshirt Towns Magoo, get McPherson back? The question I I think there's still a question about whether he'd be able to kick off. But they did bring in a walk-on transfer from Birmingham Southern after their programs went away. He's got a strong leg. He could potentially be a kickoff guy for them. So they do have some options, obviously, with Oscar at punter. You got a guy that's been there and done it for a long time. So pretty good spot to be in, having a guy like Towns Magoo ready to kick until you can get your full-time guy back.
Jason, once again, don't want to diminish the opponent, but we all know who it is in Alabama A&M. A lot of people get to play in games like this. They certainly they thin out the roster, if you will. What are your thoughts about walk-ons getting on the field on Saturday? Because as you well know, I'm got a very strong interest in a walk-on there at Auburn. Cole Gamble, number 25. But what are your thoughts about walk-ons playing Saturday?
Yeah, I think you can see a group of those guys. I do think Cole's a guy that will play some on special teams, maybe down the line a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Justin Jones at running back's a guy that would be in the mix too. But Cole got some carries late in some scrimmage situations, so I think he's a guy to watch for. There's a couple of guys in that defensive secondary that could potentially get in and see some action. But I don't know that it all. Of course, all that depends on how the game goes. If you can go out and take control early. I think ideally, if you could go, hey, a quarter and a half, you've built a sizable lead. You can get Hank Brown in the game, then start to play some, then start to filter out, late in the third quarter, get a fourth quarter for some guys that it might be their only opportunity to play. So I think that's ideally what you'd like to do. And I think they'd love to see some of those guys get a chance to play.
I'm interested in just your general take on this. There's comments about getting rid, I think I'm writing, getting rid of the spring transfer portal. How do you think, in your experience, A, will it happen, and B, what are the issues involved there?
Yeah, it's hard to kind of figure out, because here's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Somebody's going to go, hey, you've taken away my chance to go play and transfer because, I gave this new coach a chance. He doesn't have me in his plans, and now I'm stuck. Somebody's going to challenge it if they do it, I believe.
Challenge like lawsuit.
Yes, going, hey, look, I should be allowed to leave. And as soon as we do that, we've seen what the NCAA does, which is just roll over. So I think it's great in theory. I don't know that it's going to be possible to do in practice. We'll see. They may try to do it, and they might do it for a little while, and then somebody's going to challenge it. Something has to change, though. You can't just you have to be able to figure out what a roster is, what it looks like, what you need, what your folks. But I don't know how it's going to work in putting these things into practice. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's going to be another interesting aspect of college athletics with the spring semester transfer issue. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Jason, we've talked about it over the last couple of weeks. Man, you guys are all over it, and I know your subscribers there at Auburn Undercover are anxious about Saturday. I know you're going to have a lot of coverage leading up to kickoff. We've talked about your video content that you provide, before and after the games. It's incredible. But let our viewers, let our listeners know how they can become more involved, not only at Auburn Undercover, but following you in your platforms.
Yeah, me and Christian Clemente will be on the road tomorrow night, too, going to Elba to watch Alvin Henderson play. So we'll get to see Auburn's running back commitment, who had 19 for 325 and 5 touchdowns in week one. So get to watch him play Friday night. But, yeah, right now, great opportunity. Today is an unlocked free day. Anything that's on the site, VIP, anything can be read by anyone. So it's an unlocked free day, and it's 75% off. So if you haven't been a subscriber before, you're like, hey, come check it out. And if you want to subscribe, it's about a little over $2 a month. And then you obviously would renew down the road, and hopefully you like what you see and say, hey, I want to stay with those guys. But this is as good a time as ever for people that want to, hey, come check us out. 75% off to start the season. But we got tons of stuff going on. We'll have our previews continuing heading into this weekend. Pre-game, post-game, everything in between on Saturday. So check us out, auburnundercover.com, 24/7 network. And you can follow us on our YouTube channel at Auburn Undercover and a whole lot more.
Well, I think we've got viewers who have I have never drawn a breath where I haven't been a subscriber. My subscription's older than a lot of the people who are watching this right now. Jason, as always, so much fun. Safe travels. I know you got a lot of high school you're looking at tonight. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hi, buddy. Thank you, Jason Caldwell, Auburn Undercover, on our City of Montgomery guest hotline. Folks, how about that? Free content. That means, Barry, you can read Philip Marshall today in his Wednesday Night Musings column. Check it out. I read it last night, and it is free today if you're not a VIP member or just not a member at all. And, of course, all of Jason's great work. We appreciate that. Hey, want to talk about a couple of our great sponsors here on Longshore McKnight. Obviously, Bud Light, easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Labor Day weekend is fast approaching. Make sure you pick up plenty of Bud Light for your Labor Day weekend activities, whether you're heading to the game, to the beach, to the lake. You got to have plenty of Bud Light with you. And, of course, our friends at Stivers Automotive, Stivers Ford here in Montgomery, and Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. And Barry at Stivers in Prattville, no payments until October. Yeah, you heard me right. No payments until October. We're talking about $15,000 off a Ram 2500 Laramie package, $10,000 off a Dodge Charger Scat Pack, and you can get a 2024 Jeep Compass at just $299 a month. That's exactly right. 0% is available on the Jeep Gladiator and the 2024 Grand Cherokee. There are so many vehicles for you to choose from at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville, right there on Cobbs Ford Road. I'm telling you, the inventory, they are full of vehicles. The lot is overflowing. Great personnel there, great sales rep that'll take care of all your transportation needs. And you know what, Barry? Price sells cars at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville.
John, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I need you to confirm or confirm two things.
Okay.
Ready? Number one,
Yep.
We will be at Stivers Ford tomorrow. Can
We
you
will.
confirm?
Yes, that is true. We were out there testing everything earlier the week. It looks great, and really looking forward to being out there tomorrow from 7 until 9 live. You can come by and see us if you're out and about that time of day. Lee Sterling will join us tomorrow at 7:40 from Paramount Sports. Ralph Michaels from Vegas will join us in the last hour to preview all the big games over the weekend, and we'll be telling you about all the great deals going on. Labor Day sale event going on right now, not only at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, but at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. So incredible deals during this Labor Day holiday weekend at both locations of Stivers. So get that car, truck, or SUV you've been dreaming about. Let's make it a reality. Quit dreaming. At Stivers, they can put you in the vehicle you want at a price you will love. So
number
Barry,
number two confirmation.
Number two, okay.
Number two confirmation.
Mm-hmm. All right.
We may have to issue our own presentation on this, but can you confirm that Range Pro in our live comments has released his top 3 locks for the FedEx Cup at Eastlake?
You know, he teased us with that, Barry. He teased us earlier in the week, but I'm looking at it right now. Range Pro, he's a big fan of the FedEx Cup, and I've had some friends that have gone over there and watched this at Eastlake, and they're again top 30. Only 30 golfers get to participate in this event. He calls it his top 3 locks for the FedEx Cup.
Mm-hmm. We'll check it out. We'll give you a full presentation, actually live on camera in just a little bit, but it's over there in our live comments. We always enjoy some of those. Robbie says, why can't you talk about something besides Auburn? Coastal Carolina has the 7th winningest program this decade. Never talk about them. And then right underneath it, I was going to point this out, Joe. I appreciate you very much getting our back on this. Joe?
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
Robbie, I don't think Jason Caldwell knows much about Coastal Carolina. I don't know that anybody in our area, and of course we're nationwide now. We don't want to limit ourselves. We're located in Alabama. I don't think anybody talks more Coastal Carolina in this area than we do. I mean, I interviewed their head coach, Tim Beck, earlier this year. You know, they've got without Grayson McCall. Hey, listen.
Robbie, I'll answer it this way. I have nothing against Coastal Carolina. I even think their uniforms are kind of cool. I like that color scheme.
It's pretty good for a team with a chicken as a mascot. They do a lot with it.
They do. But, Robbie, we're trying to stay on the air here. I just hate to put it to you bluntly, but I'm not sure besides you, many of our viewers and listeners really care about Coastal Carolina, but I'm telling you, we're going to give them as much love as we can.
Yeah,
we're going to try to do that. I promise you. So Barry, real quick before we got a lot of good chats today, so we want to get to. I want to go over some of Range Pro's picks too. I liked some of this. And I've mentioned it to you, and I've asked Jason about it a couple of times. He's written an article about this young man. My wife's first cousin, his son is a walk-on at Auburn. Number 25, Cole Gamble, played at Mountain Brook. He's a heck of a young man.
Your wife's first cousin saw somebody, some of his girlfriend who saw pass out at 31 Flavors last night.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wish there was an easier way to explain it. I guess it's my wife's nephew, I guess would be the best way to put it.
Well, your wife's first cousin's child, right? Am I right?
Correct.
That's your second cousin. That's her second cousin.
Her second cousin.
Yeah, because that's her second cousin. Because
I'm not good with
I'm not either.
Something
removed. I don't know. But okay, okay.
Usually
I was wondering why you were asking about that.
Barry, when you got a big family, I just usually just make it simple and just say, "Oh, he's my cousin." Instead of just going through all the details, if you just say, he's my cousin, or, that's my mother-in-law, or that's so-and-so, it's a lot easier. So we'll just stick with cousin. And he played at Mountain Brook, great young man, heck of an athlete. And he walked on at Auburn and certainly getting a little attention. It was interesting that Jason mentioned that probably see him on special teams. I mean, heck, he's only been on campus a month. But, man, I'm telling you, he's a worker. So I'm looking forward to seeing number 25 trot out there on the field, hopefully Saturday night.
Name again for the Auburn fans to look up.
Cole Gamble, number 25.
Gamble.
Yeah, had a great career at Mount Brook. Heck of a player. Yeah.
It's an easy to remember if you're sitting there, you've maybe had a couple and you're thinking, what was the name of the guy that John said to look out for? Last name is Gamble. You can make whatever association you want between John Longshore and the last name Gamble, but that's probably going to be a little mental.
It's funny you bring that up, Barry, because I've known the Gambles for many, many years. Big family from Selma. And I've always thought, that would be a cool last name. Having the name Gamble, particularly, because I like to dabble in a little gambling every now and then.
That's right. Yeah.
That'd be a cool last name. I've always thought that was kind of neat.
That is good.
All right, so Range Pro, let me see what I got here. He's got Rory McIlroy winning it at plus 1,800.
Wait a minute. Rory can't win a major, but he's won the FedEx Cup 3 times already.
He's got it there. 07, 16, 19, and 24.
Who am I to doubt the Range Pro? Okay.
Yeah. Then he's got Scotty Scheffler in second place at plus 230.
No. And, he's got Xander
Schauffele. I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Xander Schauffele at 230.
Okay.
And then Scheffler at plus 115.
Take a chance, Range Pro. Oh, I got Scotty Scheffler in my top 3.
Yeah. Give me some dark horse.
That's right.
Did JT get in in the 30th position? I think I saw that he just eked in maybe.
I think he's got back problems or something.
Yeah. But okay, so Range Pro's been promoing this all week long. I kind of like McIlroy too here. I mean, McIlroy's always there. He's had some ups and downs this year, but he's a 4-time winner. So I'm with you there. Everybody's going to go with Scheffler. They love him. He's a great guy. And man, the emotion he showed at the Olympics, Barry, during that gold medal ceremony.
Yeah.
I'm talking about a tearjerker.
Yeah. The best thing about McIlroy, especially, lately, has been that commercial that he's doing with Billy Idol. That's high quality stuff.
Speaking of commercials, have you seen the new Nick Saban commercial?
My wife has. Dee has seen it. I mean, I heard it playing on TV last night. And she was laughing about it. She said she thought it was great. She said, I think her words, and I don't want to get Dee in trouble. Her words was that Nick Saban is killing it after coaching. He's never going to go back because he's been living the life lately. I
don't know if we can play that commercial here on our show. I don't know if there's some type of copyright or technical.
Since when was that ever an issue?
I mean, I heard people playing. I heard people playing the audio version of it yesterday. But my favorite is Saban on a riding lawnmower. I'm thinking, Who would have ever thought Saban would have been on a riding lawnmower?
Mm-hmm.
I know it's a TV commercial, but I'm thinking this is pretty good.
Yeah. Couple of things that we need to get to. I want to ask this, and for our viewers, you can yell it at the TV screen if you're listening to us on your YouTube app as you're going into work or whatever, or if you're just on the live comments. Last night was I believe, the very first Hey Coach.
Yes.
For Kalen DeBoer.
Correct.
With Chris Stewart, and we're going to have Chris on and, talk about all of it and everything. What'd you think? The Hey Coach with Saban, our guy Mitchell from Tuscaloosa, it was almost like a religious experience, because he always had the entourage of people around him to kind of shield him from we shouldn't say that, not shield him from the public, but, to kind of, make his entree into Baumhauer's, without people tugging at him and stuff. What did everybody think about Kalen DeBoer's performance at Hey Coach last night? What was all that like? We'll have Rodney Orr on a little bit later, but this
momentarily, actually, about 3 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, okay. This was from TiderInsider.com's message board. Some of the reaction from that. Obs, hang on.
Wait a minute, let me see that. Really?
Yeah, no.
You would think they'd be getting ready for Western Kentucky instead of talking about Auburn. Come on, folks.
You would think. But yeah, it's how was Hey Coach last night? CKD, which is what you call him. CKD was great. No drop off,
Barry Craig on our chat room says,
come on whenever Pee Wee is ready, that kind of a thing. So yeah,
Pee Wee did. Pee Wee drove to Tuscaloosa to be in the audience last night for Hey Coach. He didn't call. He drove. He was there. He was the first guy to get a question in about the offensive line. I understand Pee Wee wanted to know about the O-line for Alabama, but Craig in our chat room said he thought DeBoer did a great job on Hey Coach. I did not get to hear it. I was doing something else. And quite honestly, I just kind of forgot that it was on Wednesday. My man Strawboy texted me last night on the VIP River Region Straw Text Hotline for all of your pine straw needs and seasoned firewood needs. Give Kenny a call or text today, 669-5959. And he sent me a text and goes, wait a minute, Hey Coach on a Wednesday? And I went, oh, wow, yeah, heck, it is on a Wednesday. I forgot about that.
Tiger Talk is on a Monday now. Things change, people. What does this mean when D-Rob says Cole Gamble's mom can do more push-ups than Longshore?
That is a fact. So, Barry, when I first started,
John's pretty fit now. John's not. He's no slouch.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So when I first got going into kind of, I don't know, trying to get my act together and kind of, get fit and whatnot, a lot of my friends said it was because I had my eye on a particular female and I needed to make sure I was kind of fit and trim and in good shape and, doing the best I can. And maybe it worked because we ended up getting married 7 years ago. But nonetheless, when I started doing that, Cole's mother was in this workout class with me. And I'm telling you, she can get it done. I'm telling you, she is quite the athlete. And Barry, I'm over there doing burpees and crab walks and running upstairs and all this, all this kind of stuff.
And stuff like that, trying to.
She is, embarrassing me. I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. So I didn't really know the connection really of Cole's mom and my future wife. So I didn't really know it at the time, but it's kind of fun. We laugh about it now, knowing here I am busting my ass trying to get mean and lean and, trying to get somewhat fit, not look like some, old knot on a log to try to impress this young lady that I got my eye on. Who knows that they related and her son's now walk on at Auburn.
There you go.
It's funny how things work.
I figured there was a backstory like there, just like Theodos's text, his comment. He said, John, is that a pickleball championship hat? No, I
no, it
Can't
isn't.
really-
It's actually from a golf event that I play in over in Atlanta in
all right.
October, and I'm getting my game. I got to tune up, Barry, because we got a big tournament coming up in mid to late October over in
Oh.
Atlanta. And my friend that
That's a
invites me
biggie.
over there, he doesn't take any excuses. You got to be ready to play. So I gotta hone in my game.
I got you.
Hey, Barry, our good friend Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, brought to you exclusively each and every week by our friends at the Destin Connection Seafood Market. David Scott and his crew, the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf, brought into Montgomery. You can see it there in the display cases when you walk in Destin Connection. And I'm telling you, if it's swimming, if it's in the Gulf of Mexico or anywhere else for that matter, David's got it, and he supplies all the major restaurants here in the river region with the freshest seafood, and he can bring it to you as well. There again, they're located there at 3750 Norman Bridge Road. You can go by and see them, or you can call ahead, and David will have your order ready for pickup. I call ahead and place a lunch order, go through the drive-through window, and David has it there waiting on me. So go by and see him today. There again, 288-4272, 288-4272 for the Destin Connection Seafood Market, exclusive sponsors for Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider, who joins us via phone today because he might be at a practice or he might be doing something following the Crimson Tide football program. Rodney, good morning. Thanks for joining us.
John and Barry, how are you guys? I am not at practice. It's closed down this week. So,
Okay.
We got all of our viewing periods in that we were allowed. And so now it's game week. We're right here. We're 48 hours away from Saturday, which is a big day. And then obviously the kickoff at 6:30 on Saturday evening.
So let's talk a little bit about your expectations for Saturday, or at least, Rodney, when you're settled in to watch the debut of Kalen DeBoer as the Alabama coach. What are some of the storylines that you're going to be looking for and observing?
Well, I mean, first of all, 17 years of Nick Saban, the greatest run. Certainly, I think it's the greatest run in college football history. It's come to an end, and I think it'll hit everyone when that ball's teed up, Saturday evening. So all due respect there, I think everyone certainly is appreciative of all that has gone on the last 17 years. But at the same time, I think Barry and John, there's a lot of excitement about the beginning of the Kalen DeBoer era.
Mm-hmm.
I think the way he has handled the entire transition, he's a guy that not only has brought in some of his own ideas, but he's also, continued to use some of the things that were effective for Nick Saban. He gets the players involved in terms of making some of these decisions. And I think it's really built a strong chemistry. You feel the vibe on the practice field all throughout August. And again, it's like I said, I'm not predicting anything. I'm not predicting a national championship or whatever, because we really don't know. But I think there is a ton of excitement in terms of, the way this transition's gone, and people are ready to see what Kalen DeBoer is all about, and, the team that he puts on the field.
Rodney, to this point, here on August the 29th, from when the time Kalen DeBoer was hired in late January, I think things have gone incredibly smooth. I mean, we had, Alabama had some issues with transfers, Caleb Downs and those guys leaving. But once DeBoer got that situation settled down, how well he's done in recruiting with the number 2 class currently, just the way he's presented himself and represented the Alabama football program. I mean, everybody I talk to is extremely happy. They think things are on the right path, and they're expecting a lot of wins under Kalen DeBoer.
Mm-hmm.
But as well as I do, Rodney, it's all about wins and losses. And if he's got more losses than the fan base is accustomed to, you know what your message board's going to look like.
Yeah. And, John, Barry, as you guys know, I mean, look, this was an incredible run that Nick Saban just had. And to match that, I mean, that was an unprecedented run. And I do think there's a lot of people that say, well, it's just going to continue right along. And I'm not really sure that it's going to continue right along for anyone, any school. I know that, people are really pushing Georgia as the next Alabama and all that, but things are changing. I mean, it's 12-team playoff. I mean, obviously the portal, NIL, all of these things have contributed to change where we are, where this game is moving. So I think that the main thing is to, hey, allow Kalen DeBoer to be himself. There's going to be adversity. But I think the one thing we've seen, John and Barry, is that he's a lot like Nick Saban in this way. Again, his style is different. There's no doubt about that. He does things a little bit different ways. But at the same time, I think one of his strengths is he's a great manager. And I think that was one of Nick Saban's greatest strengths, was he was an incredible manager of situations. And that's what a program as a head coach is. You've got to be able to manage all of these things. So manage expectations, whatever it is. And I think that Kalen DeBoer is not a thin-skinned guy. And if you're going to be the head coach at Alabama, you better get ready for some adversity, John. You better be able to handle that. And not everybody can do that, but I think that's one of his strengths as well. So, yeah, there's going to be adversity, but you know what? I think he's strong enough to manage it.
You say that, and I bet that there were plenty of times where Kalen DeBoer last year could go to some coffee shop in Seattle and sit there and read the paper or whatever like that. That ain't happening in Tuscaloosa. And Rodney, I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
That's an adjustment. You have got to be, you've got to be ready for that type.
Yeah. Well, that's funny you say that. I'll share a story with you guys that I was told by someone that right after he first got here, I mean, within the first month or two, whatever, he comes up missing one day. And around the football complex, they're like, "Hey, where's Coach? Where's Coach?" So they start trying to call him and can't reach him on his cell phone. And everybody's like, "Hey, well, where'd he go?" And all of a sudden he shows up back at the complex. He had forgotten his cell phone inside his office. And they're like, "Coach, where were you?" And he said, "Well, I ran to the store to pick up a few items." And he said, "I got stopped in the store for nearly an hour to sign autographs." I mean, so here's everybody painting. They're like, "Coach, you can't do that. We've got people that'll go pick up those items for you." So, yeah, I think that was probably a learning experience for him, And I remember when Franchione was here, he and Miss Kim Kim Franchione went to the store one day, and, the manager gets on the speaker and says, "Hey, everybody, Coach Fran's in the house." Those are the type of things that you have to manage around this place.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, that's. I thought, Barry, when Rodney was first telling us this story, for some reason, I had a flashback to that Atlanta Brave pitcher that got lost on 285 and missed his start.
Oh, Pascual Perez. Yeah.
Pascual Perez.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long ago was that? How do I remember that one?
What do you think you'll see in the running back room? How will those carries go?
Yeah, I think right now, Jam Miller and Justice Haynes get the bulk of that work. Of course, I think Richard Young's going to get his opportunities too as that third back because they really like him. He's a high quality player. So I think those first two will be the kind of the 1-2 punch, and then you'll see Richard Young get some opportunities as well. And I think that's a great question too, Barry, for a couple of reasons. Number one is I really think that we're going to see this coaching staff play more players. I'm talking about across the board. I know that, I think Kane Womack a couple of days ago, because I've been wondering about this, how are they going to do that? This is a different time. Nick Saban was reluctant to play a lot of players. A lot of people said, well, he's got an NFL mentality, sticks with his starters until, 5 minutes left in the game. Then you get the backup quarterback in there, and what does he do? He just turns around and hands the ball off.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they're going to alternate quarterbacks like Coach Bryant did. That's not what I'm saying. But I am thinking that there's a strong possibility we're going to see a lot more players play across the board. And I think that could be really interesting. And I think, too, it's effective in terms of when you start looking forward to the portal, and things like that. When guys see they're playing and have opportunities, I think it kind of maybe changes things.
Um, this might be narrowing it down too much for you, Rodney, but who is the one player you're really looking forward to seeing on the field Saturday night?
Oh man, yeah, that is narrowing it down. But I'm going to say this:
besides Ryan Williams, because I think 100,000 other people want to see him too.
I want to see him. Obviously, I mean he's certainly, but I would say I really want to see Jalen Milroe.
Yeah,
I want to see. Is he getting the ball out quickly? Does he seem confident? Does he seem comfortable running this offense? And again, I understand it's going to be the first game, so there are going to be some issues, here, there, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see, how does he really carry himself in this game? Does he run the ball more? Do they use more design runs? Maybe they won't necessarily in this game. Maybe they save some things. I mean, I don't know what DeBoer's philosophy is in that regard. But I would say this: I really want to see Jalen Milroe and how he kind of handles himself, because, and I know that people are talking Heisman and all these different things, and I think he's certainly capable of doing that. I think he could walk away with the Heisman. There's no doubt about that. But with Jalen Milroe, it's the consistency. Are you going to play consistently at a level where you know what to expect? Not like DeBoer said the other day, not a lot of crazy highs and not a lot of crazy lows.
The offensive line will play a major part in that for him. A lot of new names along the front, new center, Caden Proctor's gone back, some of those other guys. But I guess if you look, this is what strikes me. I guess if you look at every school in the Power of Four and their offensive line, other than center, I think Alabama's offensive line is probably as experienced as anybody out there. But I know that they like to move around. I mean, they value versatility there.
Right, exactly. And it's a different offensive line. To give you what I mean by that is, last year Eric Wolford, he preached, for his guys to get bigger. He wanted bigger is better, right? Give you an example. There's one player on the offensive line. He came in at 320 pounds last year as a true freshman, and Wolford told him, he said, "I want you at 345." And this staff comes in and said, no, we want you at 315, 320. So the versatility you're talking about in terms of being able to move athletically with their feet, get out in front of these some of their passing game. You've got to be able to move in this offense as an offensive lineman. That is a difference. And but in terms of the individual makeup of the offensive line, Parker Brailsford, of course, at the center spot. I understand he's had a great camp, transfer from Washington. He was all Pac-12 as a redshirt freshman out there last year. You've got a really strong interior with Tyler Booker and Jaden Roberts. Caden Proctor, we know about his potential. He's lost weight. He's moving better. Still got some work to do probably in that pass protection, but he's an extremely capable player. And then at right tackle, I think that's the one big question in terms of who's going to start. I think Wilkin Formby gets the start, the redshirt freshman, but I do think he'll alternate some with Elijah Pritchett. I think they want to keep that competition going right now for at least the early part of the season. But I'm going to give the edge. Don't hold me to this, but I'm going to give the edge right now to Wilkin Formby in terms of starting this game.
A position we don't seem to talk a lot about, Rodney, but it's very important. And I know Alabama fans are hoping it doesn't come down to this Saturday night, but it might sometime during the season. And Alabama's had a long list of great place kickers, guys that could just nail it during critical times. Tell us about who's filling in or who's filling that spot there for Kalen DeBoer with place kicking duties.
Yeah, and that's another good question because people have talked about that. Flex those. Graham Nicholson, of course, he won the Lou Groza last year. He narrowly edged out Will Reichard for that award. I think he was
his former coach at Miami of Ohio is not real thrilled about where he is today either.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people not thrilled where Caleb Downs is either. I mean, it works both ways.
Yeah, I mean, good point.
But anyway, Graham Nicholson won the Lou Groza last year. I think he was 28 of 29. He obviously missed just one, but had a great year. He's had a good camp. There was some John and Barry, because people are probably in your audience there saying, hey, I heard he was struggling some in camp. Well, he did miss a few in the scrimmages. And Kalen DeBoer's thinking was, hey, it's a new atmosphere. It's different. And he said, so they sent him over to the stadium, not just on the practice field, but to the stadium to kick, to get more used to that kind of setting.
Yeah.
The way it looks, it's different. It can play with your mind a little bit. So anyway, they said that, as time went along, the consistency was much better. So, but yeah, Graham Nicholson, he is the guy. Connor Talty, he's another guy that was a highly recruited player that's had a good camp himself. Pretty solid camp. So both of those guys are certainly capable, but Graham Nicholson is the guy that I think you're going to see out there.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Going into the stadium, as you mentioned, Rodney, I'm thinking, do they go at night? Do they get the flashing lights going? Do they get Thunderstruck playing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they're trying to have as many distractions as they could. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I really do. I think that you guys are hot today, man. You're on a roll. This new setting has really raised your performance here. No, but listen, it's I think that's a great thing to kind of put them in a position to get a feel for things, and so it is going to be interesting. Now, I will say this too, while we're talking about place kickers. James Burnip, the punter, I've been high on him. He's got a build very similar to J.K. Scott, really tall, 6'5". He was pretty effective last year, really good. And I heard he's just had a great camp. Now, hopefully he doesn't go out there Saturday and shank a couple and make me look bad. But James Burnip has had a really, really, really big camp. And here's the story about him, just real quick. He is from I think he kicked over in Germany, wherever he kicked. I can't remember exactly where he came. Maybe it was Australia. I don't know. I can't remember off the top.
Australia, but
okay, that's where it was then, Barry. That's where it was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he never kicked in a high school game. He never kicked in any kind of game before he got to Alabama. He went to these camps, and he did different things in camps, and that's where Alabama kind of discovered him. They were tipped off to him. And they took him, and so he had never kicked in front of, punted in front of all these, 101,000 people. So he had to make a huge adjustment.
Think about that for a moment.
Yeah.
Well, it's always good stuff. Great insight. Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com for all of the coverage leading up to, during, and after Alabama game time. How do people get involved and find out more about your television offerings, Rodney?
Yeah, TiderInsider.com. It's only $48 a year, and you can get instant access with your credit card if you prefer. There is an address there to send a check, gives you all our premium information, but also our all sports forum, where there's a lot of exchange on there. We talked about on there the secondary, the young players, those young corners that are really got a lot of ability, a lot of potential. That could be one thing to keep an eye on, because this Western Kentucky team is going to really challenge that secondary, the way they throw the ball. But that kind of stuff right there, we discuss a lot of the things that we've discussed here today, but also my book, Bigger Than Bama, which of course we've detailed on your show before. It's available at rodneyorr.com, but also Amazon, either one. You can go to those, you can get the details there, and it's only $19.95 plus shipping and handling.
Rodney, I know you'll have all the information pre-game, during the game, post-game for Alabama's opener against Western Kentucky. We recommend everybody become a member of Tider Insider to get all the latest info. Hey, my man, thank you so much, Rodney. We always appreciate it. We'll talk next week.
Man, I look forward to it, guys. Y'all take care. Have a great weekend.
You too, buddy. Rodney Orr, brought to you by the Destin Connection Seafood Market. Who says name dropping doesn't pay off? If you walk into the store there at Destin Connection, 3750 Norman Bridge Road, and you mention Rodney Orr, or heck, they'll even let you probably mention John and Barry, you're going to get $1 off every pound of fresh Gulf shrimp. That's right, $1 off every pound of shrimp just by mentioning either Rodney Orr or Longshore and McKnight. And for your Labor Day, pick up some of that fresh Gulf shrimp from Destin Connection, and you'll be the hit of your party for from the Destin Connection Seafood Market, exclusive sponsor of Rodney Orr, the Tider Insider. Barry, also our good friends at the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge down in Greenville, Capitol Hill up in Prattville, world-class golf in your own backyard. You're looking for something to do over the Labor Day holiday weekend? Get your group and head down to Cambrian Ridge or up to Capitol Hill and enjoy some great golf, either before the games on Saturday or you can play later in the afternoon. It is up to you. But, heck, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday on Labor Day, enjoy Capitol Hill and Cambrian Ridge. It's easy. Just check out rtjgolf.com, click the Cambrian Ridge tab or the Capitol Hill tab. You can even make your tee times by going to their website as well. That's rtjgolf.com. And Barry, how about our friends at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry? I know we've both gotten a lot of jewelry items from Marguerite's, but our wives are very, very happy because of it.
I was telling this story a little while ago about, or yesterday, about my wife and the piece that she had inherited from her aunt, and brought it to Marguerite's, and they repurposed it, and they made it into. It was her wedding ring from decades and decades ago. She took it in and said, "Look, this means so much to me. I love my aunt, but I don't want to wear her wedding ring. Can you make it into something else?" And they bandied about ideas and everything. It's now a pendant. She wears it all the time. Means a lot to her. Truly a full service jeweler at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry. They make it. They really make it, and not just the unique one of a kind jewelry that they produce. That when you give it to your wife or your loved one, they will not see it somewhere else. This is an original, but they also have showcases after showcases full of name brand, top quality jewelry from some of the great jewelry manufacturers. But what really makes it is that Marguerite's is different. They're unique, one of a kind. They make it. They really make it at Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry in Montgomery, 8163 Vaughn Road at Pepper Tree.
So, Barry, we are getting a lot of chats, a lot of questions about, the Phantom tomorrow, the Dreamland Pick 3 tomorrow. I think we can update people on that.
Also, speaking of Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry, tomorrow we are going to unveil our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox.
Yes.
That's going to be a feature. We'll start tomorrow. Again, for those of you who have a brilliant thought in the middle of the night. Wait a minute. I can solve all of this NIL stuff, and let me write it. No, let me write it down so I can make sure I tell Longshore and McKnight on their comment line. No. Lob us an email right then, middle of the night. We'll get it the next day and everything. We'll announce that tomorrow, presented by Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry.
That's exactly right. Our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox will tell you more about that. I know Bill from Baltimore is going to love that, Barry. Bill loves to email, which is great. So does Curtis and Ralph and Punja Kapoor and all the other guys that we don't want to miss out on.
On to business. Yes, we will have the Pick 3 tomorrow.
Yeah. We will have the Pick 3. Dreamland Barbecue sponsoring that. A $50 Dreamland gift card is up for grabs. So here's the deal.
Okay.
We want you to use the chat room. I guess we could use the email as well. That's going to be the easiest way to get your picks into us. Now, look, we've been in this business a long time, and I know there's some people out there that think, we're going to get over on John and Barry. It's kind of like that old commercial about the margarine. It's not nice to fool Mother
Nature. Yes.
It's not nice to fool John and Barry either, because we're going to catch you. So if you try to fudge on some lines, I'm going to sneak this one in with like a half a point shaved off in my favor. Not going to work.
It's like I tell people, you think that you are going to fudge the rules in a way that Longshore hasn't seen? You think you're going to fudge and fool around and bend the rules in a way that Longshore hasn't tried?
Yeah.
Come on. Good luck getting it past him. He's like that character, that Leonardo DiCaprio character in Catch Me If You Can. Frank Abagnale, whenever he spent all those years chiseling people, you know what he does now? He's a security consultant.
Yeah, he is.
So that's the same thing with John. You think you're going to get something by him? He's going to look at you and say, Amateur.
Barry, when I saw that movie for the first time, I went into it going, I think I'm pretty good. I've kind of I figured some things out in my day. After seeing that
room
movie,
here, first class there.
I thought, this guy, I'm embarrassed. I thought I could kind of find my way to get into some places, a press box, somebody's luxury box inside Bryant Denny or at Jerry World or wherever, mooch my way into first class. Yeah, you got it. No, yeah. Maitre d', I need a table. Frank,
because of that movie, jillions of Alabama fans have purchased those little helmets and stuck them all in a warm bath to try to get the Alabama decal off the back so they can put it on a press pass. Come on. Anyway,
Barry, when I saw all those Pan Am 707s in that bathtub, I thought the same thing. I'm thinking if I could just get the Bama logo and put it on this, I probably could walk straight into Saban's office. Unbelievable. But
this is Longshore immediately after getting home. Okay, eBay Masters Cups. Okay, excuse me, sir? Can you tell me if the logo on your commemorative cups, is it a sticker or is it painted on? Because if it's a sticker, I'd really like to know that. Yeah, that way Longshore gets in on the grounds.
All right, so some other chats here. Curtis says his first cousin once removed. Maybe that's what he's talking about. Cole Gamble, my wife's second cousin. JR says he loves Rodney Orr. Thank you, JR. We appreciate that. Great. Love that
as well. Yeah. Also, throw this one up from our buddy Steve Wingard, formerly of Prattville.
Okay.
And Steve Wingard is now in Lillian, Alabama. Right? That's the place right across the river from Pensacola that you were telling us about. Am I right?
Now, Steve, town. Put that back up again, Gern. I know the face. He looks very
Steve familiar. From Prattville used to bring us coffee over there as Stivers in Prattville.
Now, Steve, Lillian is a very small community. You cross the bridge there over Perdita Bay and you hit Lillian. I spend a lot of time in that area of the state. My wife's family has a place down there overlooking Perdita Bay, and I love it down there. It is awesome. If I wasn't going to Tuscaloosa on Saturday, I'd be down there. I can promise you. So, Steve, next time I'm there, we'll need to go maybe to the front porch, maybe have a cold one or something like that. That's kind of a nice spot. So,
how about that? But Steve says this. I think that I speak for the entire listening audience when I say that the return of John and Barry is the best news of the college football season. Cheers. Humility prevents us, Steve, from responding like we would like. Let's just suffice it to say thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Man, that is awesome. Man, Steve, I'm glad to know you're down around Perdido in that area in Lillian. That is fantastic. But they're buried there again. I don't want to say too much because I don't want a bunch of people coming down there.
No, it's not enough people know about it. It's like Port St. Joe, where my dad's
You go to Destin and go to Fort Walton, all that business, but leave me alone.
We've got college football tonight, and to say we're stoked about it is an entire understatement. There is college football tonight. There's games tomorrow. It's upon us. It is here. The ones tonight, the one that I like the best tonight is going to be North Carolina at Minnesota. That is on Fox tonight at 7:00. And towards that, let's point this out. I think Robbie may have said something about it. Ross Dellinger from Yahoo Sports points this out. There are, out of the 68 Power Conference teams, the Power Four, there are 68 Power Four teams. 43 of those 68 teams are starting a transfer quarterback. 63% of the Power Five schools playing this weekend will start a quarterback who didn't originally attend college there.
63.
43 of them, 63 is the percentage. Of those 43 projected starters, 30 are in their first year at their new school. How is the Phantom supposed to figure all this?
It's tough.
Oh.
Yeah. I spoke with some people associated with the Phantom because the Phantom does not like to do interviews and things like that. He just, shows up for his appearances. And from what I understand through the legal department, and boy, they've been working hard. The Phantom is ready to go tomorrow.
Okay, good.
But I am told through sources that he's been really working extra hard during the offseason because of all the transfers. It's a new roster every year. I mean, you gotta stay up on, particularly with the quarterback position, which is the most important position on the field. Touches the ball every time it's snapped. So yeah, Phantom's been working hard, but the Phantom's ready to go, Barry. Got off to a good start, but got to move on. Last year was not the Phantom's best year. Until we got to bowl season and the playoff and the NFL playoff and the Super Bowl. The Phantom always gets hot that time of year, but I understand the Phantom's really working hard to have more of a even keel type season, if you know what I mean.
It ain't easy. I know you've spoken to him and I've spoken to him. We've spoken to him separately, but I've talked to this guy right here.
Oh, yeah.
And he says it is an absolute mess trying to get Phil Steele trying to get all of the information about all these new people. The reason why I'm bringing that up in on the heels of this game tonight, North Carolina at Minnesota, again, 43 projected quarterback starters out of the 68 schools. Out of those 43 projected starters, 2 of them have been at multiple schools. DJ Uiagalelei of Florida State. Then he's, then he was at Oregon State, and he started out at Clemson. He's one. The quarterback at North Carolina, starting for Drake May, who's going to be the starting quarterback for the Patriots, is Max Johnson, the left-hander. His dad's Brad Johnson. Remember, he started at LSU.
That's right.
Then he went to Texas A&M. Well, now he's at North Carolina. The quarterback at Cal, and I've called this guy's game. Cal plays at Auburn this next month. His name's Chandler Rogers. He's on his 4th school.
Whoa.
North Texas, Louisiana Monroe, Southern Miss, now at Cal. One more note about all of this.
Now, Bear, that guy you just mentioned, there was another guy with the last name Rogers that was a quarterback at Cal. Are they related?
No, spells and last name differently.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers was at Cal. Nobody really paid much attention to Cal quarterbacks until Nate Longshore.
True.
And of course, Puerto Rico native Jordan Rodgers is Aaron's brother. One more note. College football contenders, Ohio State transfer quarterback, Will Howard.
Okay.
Oregon, Dylan Gabriel. Gabriel's on his 3rd school. Started at UCF, then Oklahoma last year, now at Oregon. Notre Dame, Saraland, Alabama's own Riley Leonard, who was at Duke last year. And Miami, which has Cam Ward, who is terrific. Cam Ward started at a place called Incarnate Word. Then he was at Washington State last year. Now he's the starter at quarterback. These 4 players are believed to be the highest paid in college football. Each of them 6 figures, even 7 figures. Russell White is the president of the Collective Association, which is kind of an overseeing group for about 30 NIL collectives across the country.
Yep.
And he says this, somebody asked him this, John, if you're trying to get a starting quarterback with Power 4 experience to transfer, you are in the $1.5 million range.
Barry, when is that going to trickle down to people, sports people in the media?
How in the world, and these guys, I know Will Howard at Ohio State and Dylan Gabriel and Riley Leonard and Cam Ward are making $1 million or somewhere near.
Yep.
How in the world are you going to be strength and conditioning coach and screaming at those guys that they got to give you a little bit more, and you're making twice as much money as he is, and you're 21 years old? Do you feel it? Do you understand?
I get it. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
If you are in that locker room and you're making I say paltry, $20,000
Yep.
in that locker room, and you're, say, a wide receiver, and your quarterback overthrows you on that third down play when you're trying to drive late to get that score. You think there's going to be some jealousy in that locker room? That $1 million quarterback can't even throw it to me, and I was wide open, and I'm at $20,000. That, he's going to go smoke porterhouse on him,
I don't know how coaches deal with it all. And I think there again, I mean, you saw it in basketball with, at North Carolina, Duke, and Villanova. Their coaches said, we've had enough. Nick Saban, I've had enough. It'll be interesting to see what coaches after this season maybe have had enough, whether it's their decision or not. I think some of them nowadays are going to say, I've had enough. I'm out of here. You don't have to tell me to move on. I'm going to do it myself. Hey, Barry, our good buddy D-Rob gives us a great suggestion, and we need to do this more often. David says, everyone in the chat give Longshore and Barry a quick thumbs up. It helps the show. Definitely hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. That is very, very important when you tune us in and when you listen to us over your phone, your phone, your Bluetooth, wherever you may be, however you consume us, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It is very, very important.
That is exactly right. And a couple of other things real quick before we get back to sports. Brant says, I hope there are plans to get the podcast on Apple Podcasts and other platforms. YouTube isn't an available app on Apple CarPlay, which is what I use, and Android Auto would make listening in the car easier. Brant, all I can tell you is that that was one of the first things. John and I have been talking about this for a little while, and that was one of the first things we thought of. So we have got to do that. And we will.
Brandon, thank you for bringing that up, Brant, because my older daughters, they have been wearing me out about it. Dad, you got to be on Spotify. You got to be on Apple. And they've actually done a lot of research on that as well. So that is coming. And we really appreciate you bringing that up. And there's a lot of things, Barry, and I will say this. I can't tell you how much I appreciate, and I'm sure you do as well, a lot of people that get in touch with us, that are friends of ours that have our personal cell numbers, will text us, email us, we'll see them around. Man, the suggestions, the ideas, the compliments, thank you. Keep them coming because that's what we want to hear. And we've got a lot of this already planned out. A lot of the things that we hear, that people suggest or, tell us about, we know we're getting that done. But we're just a little over, a week and a day into this project. And so, we're getting there, and we certainly understand, and we hear you. We want to make it as easy for you to consume our content, and we're going to do all we can to get that done. And as Barry mentioned, tomorrow we're going to give you some information about our email address where you'll be able to get in touch with us that way.
Yeah. We do appreciate all of that. Now, the 21 games tonight on the college football docket. Now, a lot of them you don't care about. Fordham is playing at Bowling Green. That's Bowling Green, Ohio. Sioux Falls at St. Thomas, Mercyhurst at Wheeling, stuff. Yeah, all that kind of stuff. But their primetime matchups, if you're watching ESPN tonight, you got North Dakota State, which is all that in the FCS. They're taking on Colorado. Who was it we were talking to? I think it may have been Luganville, who said, one of the coaches said, don't ever schedule a team that has Dakota in its name. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, North Dakota, all that kind of. North Dakota State is the bomb. They're taking on Colorado. 7 o'clock ESPN, 7 o'clock Central. I don't mind admitting that I'd kind of like to see Colorado go down in the first. You talk about the shine being off the apple with Deion Sanders, the bloom off the rose. He commands the media. He does things his own way. You lose in the opener against North Dakota State after the year they had last year, then all of a sudden people are going to start to say, smoke, mirrors here with this guy.
I tell you, Barry, you're right. You don't want any part of those Dakota schools. They can get hot on you. They can upset you. I mean, they can really, wow, didn't see that coming. Kind of like Dakota Fanning in those 50 Shades of Grey movies. I'm telling you.
Man, you don't want to schedule her.
You don't want to schedule her. You're talking about hot. Woo, man. Don Johnson's daughter. Isn't that right? But isn't she Don Johnson, her father? Melanie Griffin, her mother?
I don't
think
know.
So. Yeah, I think Melanie Griffith and Don Johnson, it is their child.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
How about
if I'm wrong, hit me up in the chat room on that, but I think I'm right.
Yeah. You guys have got Google in front of you. We're live on the air. Our buddy Jason, talk about somebody who has my cell number, great friend of mine. We're talking about the NIL and, how it can possibly, some of those guys, Gabriel, Leonard, Howard, Cam Ward, those guys are making generational wealth right now as college students. How many of them do you think are sitting in the back of class with some professor wearing a tweed jacket with, the elbow pads on it, listening to him drone on about ancient Greek and the money, the NIL money? How do you keep that from spoiling them or the coach, getting into their ear? Jason says, because if they're smart, they're only paying them a portion of that money up front. They and people don't realize this, they still have to compete and fulfill their deliverables to earn the total dollars. Jason, by the way, full disclosure, Jason is one of the officers of Trojans Together Collective in Troy, the NIL Collective. He, Chuck Carson, all those guys are doing a magnificent job with the Troy NIL Collective. Find out more at trojanstogethercollective.com. And yeah, it's not just money they just give you up front and say, hey, look, try your best this year. You have to, you pay a portion of it up front if you're smart, but you still have to, play and play hard. And the deliverables are things like, signing footballs, public appearance here, this appearance at the Chick-fil-A there or whatever, something like that. So that is a very good point. It's not just, hey, give me the money and I'll play. You still have plenty of responsibilities.
And I wanted to expand on that a little further. And I appreciate, I think it's Daniel, it's Dakota Johnson, not Dakota Fanning. I think Dakota Fanning is a younger female actress. So I got my Dakotas mixed up. It is Dakota Johnson, Don Johnson's daughter.
Same thing with John and the state capitals of Dakota. He mixes those Dakotas up all the time, too.
I mean, it's kind of like the where I was right, where I was wrong. I mean, I did close 50%. I mean, I was pretty close there, I think. So, Barry, I mentioned this, I guess, I don't know if it was here or not, but anyway, I think Hugh Freeze made a statement or came up with an idea about NIL and maybe making the player a little bit more responsible in terms of, hey, if we're going to commit to you and we're going to provide you an NIL deal, we need you to commit to us. Kind of like signing a deal that I'm going to be here at least 2 years. Or I'm going to be here at least 3 years. If we're going to commit that type of money, we expect you to commit to us a little bit more. Do you ever see that actually happening where, both sides, have got a little skin in the game and a commitment?
I do. Theoretically, you're on point. The theory is good, but what happens if a player gets $800,000 to come to your school and be the starting quarterback, and he does fine, he does well, he plays well, but he doesn't show up where he's supposed to, or he gets involved in some sort of legal hassle, and the collective decides that he has broken the terms of the contract, whatever it takes to break the terms of the contract. What do you do then? The player sues, or the player's agent sues the school? The school says, no, we're not going to pay him because, or the NIL collective says, we're not going to pay him because he didn't fulfill his deliverables and all that. Players don't care about that stuff. They're thinking, man, they don't care that it's the NIL suing instead of the school. They're thinking, man, Muskingum is suing this player, getting their money back. I ain't playing for that school. That's a bad look, no matter how you slice it, for the school to sue a player saying he's not worth the money or he's not living up to. So theoretically, yes, you're right. But when you get into the legal aspect, well, I'm not playing at that school because they rooked me over. They were suing me for all the money, and here I am. I'm just a poor college student and all that. That's a bad look, and the schools
It is.
don't want
I'm
that
with
look.
you. Just that back and forth, that commitment. You wonder. I just kind of wonder as this goes on. NIL maybe gets a little more streamlined, and we're all playing under the same rules. In all 50 states, which I think's going to happen. I've talked about it all summer long. That I know John Cohen and Greg Byrne, the athletic directors at Auburn and in Alabama, have gone to these boosters, gone to these guys that are contributing to these collectives and said, hold on, give us 18 more months. I know you're a little frustrated. I know there's a little fatigue here, but give us 18 more months because we feel like at that time we will have some guardrails, a rule book, if you will, whether it's a collective bargaining type deal. But we really feel like we're heading in that direction, so it's just not the wild, wild west anymore.
And that's all anybody can ask, because what's happening is, at some schools, not everywhere, is there is donor fatigue big time. Wait a minute. You want me to donate this amount of money for your new basketball arena? Okay. You want me to donate this much money for, renovations to our weight room? Yeah, I believe in this school. This is where I went to school. Wait a minute. You want me to donate how much to the NIL? Okay, I'll do it, but I've got to scale back my donation for that basketball arena.
That's
I don't
right.
even really care,
Barry, we went through that period.
They're going to get to where the donors are saying, look, man, I am tapped out.
Sure. Yep. We went through that period where everybody was trying to keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. It was all about new buildings, renovations, steel, concrete, and glass getting put up everywhere. And you had to build these new facilities. Now, those things have kind of been put on the back burner because it's all about these NIL collectives. We need you to be a part of that, and quite honestly, players want money. I mean, they don't care how jazzed up their locker room is or, how jazzed up the arena looks or whatever. It's about, that's great, but I want some money. And it's in all those, like Alabama's basketball arena. Barry, I really don't have any feel when that is ever going to be constructed, if it ever will be. I mean, I know they're building a new practice facility for the basketball program, for the men's program. But I'm thinking
it's not the priority it once was.
No, I just don't see this new arena for Alabama basketball. I don't see any shovels hitting the ground anytime soon. Because we got to get this worked out.
We'll get Jason Jones to come on the air with us at some point to talk about all of this, because they've got, they have done a wonderful job with the Troy NIL, TrojansTogetherCollective.com. Gary Gallant has gotten into the live chat. He's an extraordinary friend of mine from just north of the border. He's from Canada, and he says, excited to have college football tonight, and we'll be listening to the melodious voice of Barry and the Trojans on Saturday. Gary, I appreciate that. Gary used to listen to the radio show all the time. He's probably sitting on the back deck right now, overlooking the Detroit River and listening to Longshore and McKnight and checking us out. Gary, we appreciate that.
Has melodious ever been used on this program in 27 years? Melodious.
No.
I know erroneous has been, but I don't think melodious has. JR wants to know where John from Wetumpka is. John's teaching school. He let us know that. John's back in the classroom.
He's actually ducked into our live chats as well. Norm brings this up. About Dakota Fanning, Don Johnson's daughter. No, it's not. He says Dakota and I was trying to think of. Okay. But they aren't related to Don Johnson, but Jill Arrington is their aunt.
Whoa. Jill Arrington. Swing.
Now, just take a moment for Jill Arrington. Those were the golden years. You had the best part about Jill Arrington that you could see on camera.
Yeah.
Was when she'd ask Phil Fulmer a question at halftime.
Oh, yeah.
And he would look at her as though he has just put a mouthful of green flies in his mouth,
I've got I've got a Jill Arrington story, Barry, now that this has been brought up. And I remember, I want to make sure I say this the right way. I was standing on the sidelines. It was toward the end of the game. It was the Alabama-Tennessee game. Tennessee was about to win it at Bryant-Denny Stadium. So this is years ago. This is pre-Saban. And, there was a pantyhose commercial many, many years ago, and their selling point was no panty lines. I guess with women, if, maybe if they have some tight jeans on or something, you might can see the panties in there, whatever.
Dashes and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing I noticed is Jill did not have any panty lines in these really tight white jeans she had on.
That was the first thing you noticed?
First thing I noticed.
You didn't notice her full legal pad of insightful questions that she was adding to as the game?
No, but I did notice the field producer telling her what to ask Philip Fulmer. And I thought,
was a
wait a minute. Okay. Does she not know what to ask him? But no, the guy's telling her what to ask. She's writing it down. And I did notice her white jeans that were somewhat tight and her flowing blonde hair. I noticed that next. But I'm just kind of standing there minding my own business. And I went, wow, man, she's pretty attractive. So I'm glad. And that's just another example of, we can get off on Dakota Fanning, Dakota Johnson, Dakota whomever.
State, which is where this entire conversation originated,
and see how it just branches off into so many different things. That's what makes this program so unique. So we really appreciate that. I hadn't thought about Bill Arrington, and I can't tell you how long. Bill from Baltimore's chimed in. We're going to get to him in just a second, but Barron gives me an opportunity to talk about our good friends at Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air. They've been serving the River region for over 116 years. Think about that. 116 years they've been serving the River region. They're now serving the Auburn-Opelika area as well. For all of your electrical, plumbing, HVAC needs, new installations, repair, servicing, they do it all for your home, your construction site, your offices, buildings, wherever it may be. Call Dixie and it's done. That truck, Barry, was across the street at my neighbor's house, and I took a picture of it and said, we can use that as one of our props. There it is. I love the Dixie guy on the side of the truck with the big phone in his hand.
Give us some background on this, John. If that neighbor you're talking about, if that Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air truck is at his home yesterday, and something else crops up tomorrow, or something cropped up 2 weeks ago, and you see that Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air truck at his place 2-3 times during a month, that's just one service call, right?
That's correct, Barry. But say yesterday they were working on plumbing, and maybe something happens next week and they need the Dixie technician to come out for their electrical system or their garage door. You only pay one service fee during a 30-day period. So if you have 3 or 4 needs, you only pay that one service fee, and you get to utilize their services for electrical, plumbing, heating and air, and their garage door service. It's the only service company that I trust, the only service company I recommend. Call Dixie, and it's done. I mentioned Bill from Baltimore. He has hit the chat room. Love it, Bill. Thanks for checking in. Talking about NIL.
Yeah, an interesting NIL thing would be if someone doesn't get anything because they were valued lower initially and gets introduced to it, like the walk-on for Auburn that John mentioned earlier, Cole Gamble. I wonder how that does work. Say you got a walk-on kid. All right, let me go way back. For you kids, we're trying to educate you about the history. In 1984, when Kerwin Bell was a walk-on quarterback for the University of Florida from Mayo, Florida, they called him the Throwin' Mayoan. I remember because when he got on campus, he was the 6th string quarterback at Florida as a freshman.
Oh, wow.
And everybody in front of him, Dale Dormady, Roger Sybil, they all got hurt. So all of a sudden, here's Kerwin Bell starting at quarterback for Florida. And he ended up being the SEC Player of the Year in his career. He was a terrific quarterback at Florida.
Didn't he lead Florida to a victory on a gimpy ankle in Gainesville against Auburn, 18-17, I believe?
Something. It was 18-17. My brother Mike and I were watching that on closed circuit TV. Again, kids, look that up. At Beard Eves Coliseum. My brother Mike went to school at the University of Florida. and he had on his Kerwin Bell jersey or something like that, and they were pelting him with ice and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, all of a sudden, if that happened today, if a walk-on quarterback, Baker Mayfield, another example, walk-on quarterback, and he started his very first game as a college player, and all of a sudden you're thinking, hey, this kid is all right.
Yeah.
Can you do it in the middle of the season and say, look, you are the hottest story on this campus. We want to negotiate something with you for the NIL. They can do it. They can do it. It does not have to be, before the season starts. Now, it also bears in mind that a player's performance does not enter into their NIL. Like, you cannot break a player's contract because he loses his starting job. The actual playing time or the playing performance, well, we're not going to pay you anymore because you stink. Can't do that. Once the contract signed, you got to. So it ain't like they can take away from that starting quarterback who lost his job and give that money they take out of his contract and give it to the walk-on who all of a sudden is going lights out. That's a good point there.
That is, we love the chat room. We really appreciate everybody getting in with the comments via the chat. And like we said earlier, there's a lot of things coming in the weeks as this program continues. I'm trying to think after Jill Arrington, Barry, who was the girl that we interviewed at Media Days in Birmingham? Our man Adam Zucker introduced us to her, and I think she's now doing NFL.
Am I right in remembering it was Allie LaForce?
Yes.
Is that her?
Yes, it was.
I know we interviewed her, but I'm wondering if that's the one you're talking about. There have been some good ones. I still go back to the late, great Adrian Karsten,
Oh, boy, yeah.
Yeah, bless his heart. But there are college football games tonight. We're so excited about it, as you can probably tell. There's college games tomorrow. There's, of course, a jillion on Saturday. Sunday, you've got the Vegas Kickoff Classic in the Allegiant Stadium. USC versus LSU. That's 6:30 on Sunday, my birthday, on ABC. And then Monday.
Yep.
See how this grabs you. Monday, ESPN, 6:30, Labor Day itself. Boston College at Florida State.
Well, Barry, as you well know, Boston College, every time I hear that name, it just automatically, I want to see Boston College. And I know you younger guys out there going, Boston College? What are you talking about?
I'm an older guy, and I'm thinking.
Well, Doug Flutie came into Birmingham's Legion Field, beat Alabama. Kerry Good blew his knee out running back the second half kickoff. Alabama went to Chestnut Hill the next year. Doug Flutie, who went on to win the Heisman Trophy, beat him again. And Alabama does have Boston College on a future home and away scheduling. But, Barry, I'm watching the Golden Eagles against Florida State on Monday night, because I like Boston College, too. I want to see if Florida State can bounce back from that opening week loss to Georgia Tech in Dublin.
If you're looking at coaches' hot seats in the first week, there are 3 if they lose the game. Some of them are already on the hot seat. We've already mentioned if Deion loses to North Dakota State, big problem. Big problem for Deion. I don't care if he is Coach Prime and all that kind of stuff. That's a huge problem. He is immediately on the hot seat at Colorado if they lose to North Dakota State. Number 2, if Florida loses to Miami, that is a huge one for the Gators. Then Billy Napier is on borrowed time. And number 3, he's not on the hot seat necessarily, at least less than any of the other ones. But if Mike Norvell loses at home to Boston College Monday night, it would be Florida State's 3rd loss in a row after winning, 12 games in a row last year. Then all of a sudden, people aren't thinking that he's the mad genius and the wonderkind and all that kind of stuff as well. Those are 3 games that those 3 programs and those 3 coaches really, really, really need to win.
I have no emotional tie to Florida or Billy Napier. Maybe it's just because, I'm not a big fan of Miami. the Hurricanes. But I think I'd really like to see Napier win that game. And he's caught a lot of crud during the offseason. He's under a lot of pressure. I think losing the opener to an in-state rival based on who they've got coming the remainder of the year. I mean, Barry, their latter part of their schedule, I mean, the Gators play Georgia, Texas, LSU, Ole Miss, and Florida State. That's their last 5 games. So if he's going to get it, he better get it early.
Their entire schedule is maybe the hardest I've ever seen in the last 5 years. Miami's not going to be easy. Texas A&M, Mississippi State on the road. You've mentioned this before more than once. They got UCF. UCF is tough.
Yeah.
They're a Power 4 school now. They've got Malzahn. They've got a pretty doggone robust NIL. And then, they got Kentucky at home, who's going to be better. Then they got that stretch that you're alluding to, Georgia, Texas on the road, LSU, Ole Miss, and at Florida State to end the year. Boy, you want to give yourself a little breathing room? You better beat the Hurricanes.
Yeah, and now, that line only about 2.5. And I've got some info. I don't want to reveal where I'm getting this info from because it's very privileged information. About that Florida-Miami game, I think that's going to be one of the better ones of the weekend. I hope I'm not going out on a limb here because I certainly don't want to look at the score. And Miami's up 21-0 before we know what happens. But I got to think the Florida fan base is also going to be, they're probably tired of hearing all this as well. And they kind of want to show the world, hey, we're still relevant. We're still here. We're not gone. I don't want to get too emotional about this game, but I kind of feel like I am because I've heard Napier catching a bunch of crud during the offseason, and I think he could shut up a lot of people with a win against Miami.
Yeah, the Gator fans are thinking back to the days of Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier when they were winning championships. And what's changed? Why can we not? Well, a lot of it's because they haven't gotten the right guy. Will Muschamp, not the right guy. Jim McElwain, not the guy. I kind of liked the idea of McElwain.
Yep.
But it wasn't really the thing. Dan Mullen, he was the guy that was going to return him and everything because he had been an assistant there and everything. Dan's heart wasn't in recruiting at all. Neither were Spurrier's, but he was getting it done, and Mullen was no Spurrier. I don't know, but yeah, and Napier, really good recruiter, has the Saban pedigree. They thought he was the guy, but man, he needs to win this game on Saturday.
It's big. It is a big game for him, no doubt about it. Hey, it's big for us if you hit the like and subscribe button. When you're checking us out, when you're viewing us here on YouTube or listening through your smart speaker, your iPhone, your Bluetooth, whatever it may be, make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really is helpful for us. And when you hit that subscribe button, Barry, I mean, you're getting notifications all the time when something happens with Longshore McKnight, when our show's about to begin each and every weekday, if we've got some content that we put up throughout the day. If we
Aside from the show, yes.
Yeah. Yes. If we put clips up of some interviews, you will be notified. So you'll be able to access it, and you'll never get left behind.
Yep, we've got we're working again tomorrow. Our email address will make that announcement as well. I noticed that we have established a Longshore and McKnight Instagram page as well. Personally, what I'm looking for in the Longshore and McKnight Instagram, go ahead and go and like that right now. I demand a selfie of Longshore, the little lady, and whomever else in the stands at Bryant-Denny, and I want a picture of the scoreboard in the background with the scoreboard clock going less than 6 minutes, fourth quarter.
Well, a couple of things I've got to
that's what I want.
I've got to point out. You made a mistake by saying in the stands.
Fair point. Fair.
Huh?
Yeah. Stands.
Stands.
The stands are where John goes to under protest to get out of the stadium and get out and go to his car. If the line's too long at the elevator, maybe.
I'm not walking down all those steps. I think I'll wait for the elevator. So yes, that was the first, faux pas.
I don't
stands.
know.
Believe me, Barry, when you said stands, my brain went, stands? Huh? Did you say that? Yeah.
Stands. This is how John regards the stands. If he regards the stands at all, other than, man, I see some empty seats over there. What are they doing? Come on now,
That's right.
I have to say something about it.
And particularly for a game of this level, I mean, there again, I don't want to say Western Kentucky's not worthy, but if I'm going to be at a game like this, I need to be sitting somewhere other than the stands. So that was the first one. Number two, Barry, come on. You think I'm going to be there with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter?
That's what I'm just saying. That's what I want. That's what I want. That's what I want on the Longshore and McKnight Instagram page.
I'll say this.
I don't think I'll get it. I've seen pictures of the surface of Mars on Instagram. I've seen a picture of the planet Mercury it's like right there. Those would not, those interest me. Those would not surprise me anymore than a picture of John in the stadium with 6 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the Western Kentucky game, which is in Bowling Green, Kentucky, by the way.
Yes, it is. I made a mistake on that. We'll tell you that story later.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Barry. I do feel there's a good chance I will be in the stadium with 6 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter when Georgia comes to town later in September. I'm pretty confident on that one. But this Saturday, not so much.
Okay.
I'm not feeling it. Hey, Labor Day weekend is fast approaching. So you got to get everything hooked up, ready to go, whether it's that shrimp from Destin Connection Seafood Market, whether it's some premium pine straw for your landscaping needs during this weekend if you're going to be around your house. But you also have got to have plenty of ice cold Bud Light. That's right. Here it is right here. I got one right here for you. Ice this baby down, and you'll be ready to go all throughout Labor Day holiday weekend. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. It makes Labor Day so much better. And if you're at one of the games over the weekend down in Troy, in Auburn, in Tuscaloosa, you can get one of these at the game. How about that? Pretty sweet.
Love that for sure. And we appreciate Bud Light, as always, helping to sponsor this. There are a lot of things that are going to be going on at the Troy game, Troy and Nevada, Saturday night at Veterans Memorial Stadium, 6:00 kickoff. There is alcohol that is sold inside. There is Bud Light that is being sold inside. Bud Light is actually sponsoring the Tailgate Concert Series before the games.
Oh, yeah.
So, hey, is it really college football without even at least seeing signs of Bud Light's support of college football? And
it's awesome. It is a great combination. Barry, our friend Joe says, hey, give me some Jenny Dell. Yes, she was a sideline reporter for CBS SEC football. How can we forget Jenny Dell? Man.
I'm trying to think how did we feel about the Wolf? How did we feel about
Tracy Wolfson? I thought, Barry,
with Vern and Gare and
I'll tell you a quick story about Tracy Wolfson. It is the Iron Bowl at Jordan-Hare. So back when she was doing it, it might have been her last season, as a matter of fact. And Dee Jackson and I, we were TV partners at CBS 8. Dee's now in Birmingham with the CBS affiliate there. And Dee and I went over to go interview Gary Danielson and Vern Lundquist. They'd set up an interview for it. We had to go to Auburn. We went and got to go into the CBS bus, the CBS SEC on CBS bus, and interviewed Vern and Gary. It was great. Couldn't have been any nicer. And whatever you say about Gary Danielson, I know a lot of people didn't like him. I always liked Gary. Gary was great to us, Barry. He always was good with us.
Awesome to us. Always spent time with us.
So we had a cameraman at CBS 8 that had an SEC on CBS hat. And I go, hey, man, where'd you get that hat? I want a hat just like that. And he always told me, just drug me on for months. Oh, I'll get you a hat. Don't you worry. I'll get you a hat. Well, the guy ended up leaving, going somewhere else. Years went by. So we're there in the bus, and we're walking out. And I looked at Tracy. We're just kind of, chit-chatting and whatnot, talking about the game. I said, Tracy, do y'all have any of those SEC on CBS hats? She says, we sure do. How many do you want? I said, well, a couple of them if you got it. She goes in the back, brings like 3 or 4 out. And I went, no way. This is awesome. So, of course, immediately when I got into my car, I got my phone, put the hat up on the dashboard, took a picture of it and sent it to D Jackson and said, I finally got it. Yours is on the way. So Tracy was nice enough to give us some of those hats. I'll always remember her for that.
So for
Great
some
lady.
of you young nephews out there or second cousins or whatever that John's got, and you're thinking, wow, he bought me an SEC on CBS hat. Now you know the true story.
And Barry, now it's a collector's item because the SEC is now on ABC and ESPN.
I think I got an SEC network hat or something like that. Yeah, that's another thing to bring up. It's going to be weird. It's going to be odd. They'll still be on 2:30 on Saturdays, the SEC, whatever you're going to call it, game of the week and everything. But it's not going to be, of course, it hasn't been Vern for a little while. It's been Brad Nessler.
Love Ness. I'm going to miss Ness. I think he's really good.
Well, see, and that's the other thing about it is you're going to be able to see Danielson. You're going to be able to see Brad Nessler, probably after the U.S. Open, but those guys are going to be doing Big Ten stuff. It's going to be weird to look
now, Barry,
on
you
there.
know who I'm really excited about? I know people are complaining. Early kickoff, 11 o'clock, but my man Joel Klatt and Gus Johnson doing Bama at Wisconsin in week 3.
They will debut with the Fighting Neil Browns this Saturday at 11 in the morning. Gus, Joel, Jenny Taft, also another one that I really like. They're on the Fox call for Penn State versus West Virginia. And since you bring that up, all of a sudden I'm reminded from College Game Day on Saturday from Dublin, Saban really likes Penn State.
He does, Barry, and I've heard a lot of people.
McAfee loves West Virginia, but I was surprised about that. Penn State's been good the last couple of years. They just haven't.
They're getting a lot of love as a playoff team as well. A lot of people talking about Penn State making the playoff.
Right.
West Virginia's an 8.5-point dog at home for this Fox broadcast. And let's face it. I know your thoughts about Neil Brown. I love him too. He was a great coach at Troy. He's had some bumps at West Virginia, but it looks like this kind of might be the year that he's kind of gotten all the pieces together. Unfortunately, they got to open up with Penn State. But it seems to me that West Virginia's poised to have a really good year this year.
They've been building. They've been building and building and building. It's taken some time. I've said before when Neil got the job, West Virginia fans think they're better than they are. You know,
Barry, I know some other fan bases like that too, but I don't want to get into it right now.
Yeah, we don't have much time left, so that'll be maybe for another thing. But he has built it. He does have some experience. He finally has some depth at West Virginia, so that'll be a good one. Gus Johnson, will his head explode on a touchdown call? He's been close a couple times. If you ever had a booth with Gus Johnson and Joe Tessitore, I know they're both play-by-play guys. I mean, there's going to be blood vessels burst or something.
Who's more dramatic, Gus or Tess?
I'd say Gus.
I think so too.
The issue that I've got with Tess is that every play is that way.
Yeah.
Gus is not that way, but Gus will absolutely lose his mind on a touchdown call. And I get the sense that Gus has a little clipboard in front of him with some things to say. Like if so-and-so scores a touchdown, I'm going to make a little play on words on his name, or, the fact that we're in the Happy Valley. The entire Happy Valley is going to, I think he prescripts some of that stuff. Tessitore, very, very energetic. The only problem I've got with Tessitore is when you convert on a 3rd and 3, it's like the second coming. A 3rd and 3 suddenly becomes 1st and 10. It's a 3rd down, Tess. You have a ton of them during the game.
Barry, I remember an old radio play-by-play guy that go, a huge hole between the tackle and the guard. Bama picks up 2 yards, 2nd down.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And waiting another 4 minutes before giving the score. K Trojan checks in. We told you about the email from Gary, from Gary Gallant up there in Canada, checking us out. Looking forward to hearing the Troy game on Saturday. K Trojan says, same here, Gary, but I'll be at the Vet with my radio so I can listen to McKnight. Go Troy. There you go.
I think Gary's with 1 R, but I could be wrong.
Well, he's Gary. This Gary, he's a friend of mine. Is with 2 R's, just like Barry. So that's how I always spell it right.
Oh, Barry, CBS no longer doing U.S. Open tennis. That's right, because I saw it on ESPN last night. We have Ohio State and Akron on CBS. I forgot about that. Hey, I'm not going to forget. We don't want you to either. We're going to be at Stivers 4 tomorrow. We'll be on location broadcasting Longshore at McKnight. You'll pick us up just like you always do. You'll go to YouTube. You'll watch us. You'll listen to us on your smartphone, your smart speaker, Bluetooth, whatever. We'll be there. We'd love for you to drop by and see us. And several reasons to come by, not only to see us, but how about this, Barry? New Explorers, Escapes, or Edges, 0% APR for 66 months. How about that? Does it get any lower than 0? I don't think so.
0%. Well, we've said it before. Out of all of the incentives you hear from some of these car dealers about if you can push, pull, or whatever,
come on.
Nothing beats 0%. That's the gold standard.
America's best-selling pickup truck for nearly 50 years. Think about that. All these other pickup trucks, not even close. The F-150 has dominated the pickup truck line for almost 50 years. Get up to $16,000 off a new F-150 or 1.9% APR for 72 months. You can also get a great deal on a new Expedition. Great to take everybody up to the game, up in Tuscaloosa, over to Auburn, down to Troy. Get everybody in that Expedition at 2.9% APR for 72 months. You want something a little more sporty? Got Mustangs at $4,500 off MSRP. And also the Bronco lineup. Barry, I'm so glad they brought the Bronco back. And I'm telling you, there are so many different variations, styles, trim levels, package upgrades that you can get on the Bronco. And I think Stivers has every one of them. So check it all out at Stivers Ford, 4000 Eastern Boulevard in Montgomery, or just go to stivers.com. You can shop online and see their entire inventory at Stivers Ford in Montgomery or Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville, where Price sells cars.
I think you're going to like our backdrop tomorrow when Longshore and McKnight take our show on the road for the first time. You can come by and see us, stick your head in behind us. We've got a video that we'll play at some point of guys who like to sneak in the background behind things. We just like to see you. We'd like to have you around. One final note from our buddy Jason, talking about Jill Arrington. Jason said, she sat behind me at the Waffle House in Troy when they came down for the Okie State game. Rush with greatness.
Wait a minute.
I like
Not only does Jill Arrington go to Waffle House, so does Gus Malzahn.
That's exactly right.
Man.
Probably order something different. I don't know that she's a Burt's Chili and T-bone steak girl. Especially if that was before the game.
I think I might have sent this to you. I hope I did. If I didn't, I have met Burt, who invented Burt's Chili.
You did. You said that. Yeah. I didn't think it was a real guy. I thought it was like Marshall Tucker or something like that, or Duncan Hines or Betty Crocker or something. It's just kind of a made-up name. John has met Burt from Waffle House.
He gave me his business card. I won't tell you how we met and all the story, but he gave me the card for like a free waffle or something. I gave it to all my kids, gave me about 10 of them. And I'm looking at the card, And I looked at my wife, and then I looked at the card again, and then I looked out the window. The guy's getting in his car. I jump up from the table. My wife's going, what happened here? What's going on? I go to the car. He rolls down the window. I went, are you Bert from Bert's Chili? And he kind of smiled. He goes, do you like the chili? I go, man, I love it. He goes, I'm Bert.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, Bert, you may not know it yet, but I've given you a ton of free publicity about your Bert's Chili on my show in the past. Would you like an SEC on CBS hat? Yeah.
Hi, Bear. Tomorrow we're at Stivers Ford here, Montgomery, on location broadcasting this program. We greatly appreciate everybody that has chimed in through our chat line. Tomorrow we're telling you more about our email inbox that you can get in with us on as well. But hey, hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. It's very important. You'll get all of our notifications. You'll know wherever we are, what we're doing, and all of our content. So hit the like button, hit the subscribe button.
We are looking forward to tomorrow on location at Stivers Ford Lincoln in Montgomery. For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.